Good morning, everyone. This is Louise and Katie of the Lovewell team. Maggie wasn't able to join us today, but here we are, kind of like in the middle of summer, and at least it's cooler. Yeah?
Yes.
Nice. We like this. So for our first thing, I think what we'll do is we'll have Katie show us all the wonderful cities and what's happening in the East Bay. Take it away, Katie.
Thank you. So again, I go to our local real estate association, Bay East, and they put out these numbers the second Monday of every month. And so we'll just go through them. And there's more cities than we show. So you can definitely check it out sometime. Actually, you just go to their website, you go to community info, go to city by map, and then all these different cities you can pull up and see the information for it. So, all right, we'll begin in the south part of Alameda County in Fremont. And Fremont is a little different from some of the other cities, not majorly. Most other cities, we are seeing a downward trend with the prices. Fremont shows it being flat. And inventory actually went down from last month. So that's where Fremont is. So definitely a little more competitive than most other cities we're going to see. Hayward, interesting enough, after they had a spike in February and then the prices went down in March, prices came back up. And so they're the only city that we're going to see in which there is still an upward trend in prices. But if you look over on the right-hand side, there's that chart that shows active or pending, sold, and active, and you can definitely see the black line for pending is coming down. So because pendings are going down, and also looking at down here in this middle section, the number of active is 8 at the end of June was 80. So, which was a big jump up from 57 at the end of May. So while the prices are still showing an upward trend, I think they're going to be joining the other cities in the Bay Area, and we'll start to see prices come down. So then the next city we have is San Leandro, which is prices have been going down since March, both median and average sales price, and inventory is not up majorly, but active is 55 right now, or sorry, at the end of June it was 55. So that's what San Leandro is doing. Castro Valley, it shows a slight increase after it went down in April. So we'll see what happens. Inventory is at 41, or at the end of June was 41, which actually was a slight decrease from May, which most cities we see the inventory going up month over month. So it is interesting that it did flatten out. And then we move on to Alameda, which was kind of flat after their peak in February, and prices are coming down right now. Inventory is up. In June, at the end of June, it was 36 versus 30 at the end of May, and definitely a good decrease in price from May to June for both average and median sales price. Oakland, it's been flat, but now we can see prices are also coming down. Inventory is definitely up 518, which, I mean, no time last year with it over the 500 mark, so definitely more options for people in Oakland. And at both average and median sales price are showing a downward trend. Berkeley, again, not as severe as some other cities, but definitely shows a slight downward trend with average and median sales price. Although interestingly enough, inventory is down from May was 70, at the end of May was 73, June 59, and pendings are going up. So we actually might see a little bit of an upward pressure now on prices in Berkeley. And Lafayette, prices going down, although like Berkeley, pendings are trying to go back up, and inventory is pretty flat from where it was last month. So again, that downward pressure on price could be coming back up a bit. Pleasanton still has very high inventory. I mean, from going back a few more months, I think it's been one of the most extreme in the Bay Area. At the end of March, there was 25 active homes, or at the end of June, 85 active homes. So quite a big change in the inventory. And so prices, of course, are reflecting because there's more supply, demand has gone down. And both, pendings show they're going down. And so average sales price and median sales price are going down. And lastly, Livermore, also inventory, kind of similar to, to Pleasanton. I mean, at the end of February, inventory was 29. The active at the end of June is 78. I don't think it's been as severe a decrease in price, but overall, I think, definitely see a trend down with prices, although the average sales price went slightly upticked from May to June. So yes, the Bay Area is always interesting. This is all mainly Alameda County. Yeah, it's all, well, and I guess definitely Lafayette is, I think, Contra Costa. And but otherwise it's all Alameda County, and every city has slightly different trends, and even within those cities, there's just different pockets and areas. So it's really important, obviously, to talk to your realtor and see what's going on in your area and the interest. But that's, I think for buyers that it's been hard as it typically is in the beginning of the year with so much competition. Definitely in some areas there is, with prices coming down, it's a much better time to buy right now than it has been. So, but that's not to say, sellers to just give up. You can still see prices are still relatively very high, and there's still homes that are getting multiple offers. So I think one thing we also wanted to bring up is that we wanted everyone to be aware that there's going to be new forms everyone's going to be signing. Well, if they're working with, buying or selling real estate, starting mid-August, because of a national lawsuit that came out, sellers are no longer automatically offering compensation for buyers. And so it's now all going to be negotiable, but well, it's always been negotiable, but it's just been more explicitly that it's just gonna be more explicit that it is negotiable. So every buyer, whenever you work with a seller, you must sign a listing agreement. It was never required to sign a form with the buyer. Now it is going to be required. So there won't be too many casual buyers working with agents anymore, because if they want to write an offer, they have to have a written agreement in which they say how much they are willing to pay that agent. Now, they can still ask the seller to compensate the agent the way they have in the past, but again, this is going to be, all the forms are going to be much more clear that it's all negotiable and that it's up to the seller if they want to pay that or not. But of course, that does make it harder for many buyers, because it's already, especially in the Bay Area with our high prices, for many buyers to afford a down payment, let alone the commission for their agent. So we expect many buyers, or not buyers, but sellers will probably still be willing to pay that commission, just because if they don't, they will be shrinking the pool of people who can put offers on their home. But again, it's me a brave new world, and that'll all start August 12th. So Louise, do you want to add anything about that?
Sure, I'll kind of like talk about the foreign things. So we're definitely, after like, I don't know, 50, 60 years of this is the way it's always been, definitely going to be sort of a game changer. And so sellers and buyers are going to be, like you said, there's going to be new forms. The buyer is going to be signing up with the buyer's agent, and the seller is going to decide on, it's not called compensation anymore, it's called concession. And on the concession, basically it seems like it goes into three ways. Either, like Katie says, you can just keep it so that there will be a concession for the buyer's agent, because at this point, if we are the seller's agent, we're going to be getting calls from people who want to show the home, and they're going to say, hey, is there a concession? So that would be on number one. If the seller decides not to do a concession, then, the buyer will say, okay, I'm going to pay it, but then I'll, reduce my offering price because you're not paying a concession to my agent. So definitely the concession thing is going to show up on the residential purchase agreement. So it's going to be a thing that's kind of no different than asking for a credit for closing costs. It's going to be something that shows up. So be ready. This is going to be, the next month is like the trial month, so it's going to be interesting to see what all happens with that. But I think, we'll get through it. And then going back to what earlier Katie was saying about the different markets, it's an interesting time, because like we just had a listing in Hayward. And so I think the sellers, we sort of need to prepare you that in the past, where we thought, things could happen like within 2 weeks. It doesn't happen that fast anymore. Hayward took probably between 4 to 5 weeks. And you would think after 4 to 5 weeks, we might be lucky to get like 1 or 2 offers, because that's what I see usually coming in. Like our listing in Pleasanton had 2 offers. Just trying to think, the one in Pleasant Hill, not sure how many offers it had. We represented the buyer on that, but the one in Hayward, I pleasantly surprised. It ended up with 5 offers after 4 to 5 weeks, which is kind of crazy that it just needed that time to just kind of sit there on the market. And then all of a sudden it came alive and the buyers came forward, which is pretty amazing. So it's like Katie was saying, it does show that in most cities, the inventory is up. But if the home has all the checkbox marked of what people want, I guess people will come and offer, even if it's 4 to 5 weeks into the process. What do you say, Katie? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely think, a lot of sellers think, well, the buyers are going to tear and rip everything out, so I don't need to do anything, which there are some buyers for sure that are willing to do that. But that pool of buyers who are open to major renovation continues to shrink, because when we represent buyers, more and more the buyers tell us, I want something that's turnkey. I want something that's done. I don't want to do any major renovation. So we always encourage our sellers to, major renovations, of course, are no one wants to do right before you go on the market, but to try to get the property in as good a shape as possible so that it can appeal to as many buyers as possible and not shrink that buyer pool down, so you can get the best offer. And then two, regarding the forms, one more thing for buyers to expect when they're going to open houses is they will be required to sign in and sign a form that just is very clear that the agent who is at the open house does not represent them, or does represent them, but yes, more exciting form. So again, that's coming mid-August. But I think that's all I have.
Yep, I think we're in for, but to Katie's credit too, I think for any of you sellers that are thinking of selling, it is good to prep the home, to basically do the painting, do the cleanup, make sure the floors are good, because think about it, when the young people, whoever is looking at it online in the middle of the night or whenever, you basically have 5 seconds, and if they like what they see, they'll stop. But if they don't like what they see, they're just going to move on to the next one. So you want to keep that pool of buyers as interested and open into your property as possible. I think that's a huge deal. So that's still my recommendation. Getting a home cleaned and prepped and painted, it makes a difference. Even if the next person changes things, just to get those people through the door and have them be interested, I think it's a big thing.
Definitely.
So that's it. So on my part, wait,
Oh, no, never mind. I thought I've messed up. You're doing great. Continue.
I was gonna say, we wish you a good rest of July. Hard to believe that once July leaves, there's a lot of kids who'll be going back to school that first week of August. So anyway, so we just wanted to wish everybody a good next 2 weeks. We're enjoying this weather immensely. So happy summer. Bye, everybody.
Bye.